How to wholesale lease options. Guys, it's Rick Ginn here. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step basis on how to find lease options and how to take them to profit in your wholesaling business. But before I get into it, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the best up-to-date information on wholesaling today from me and Zach. So if you guys have never heard of lease options, you're missing out. And I especially love this strategy because when I first got started out, I relied on this more often than I actually even knew I was doing. So this technique is really cool and it really fits into the wholesaler's tool chest. And so many people just don't understand how it works, and so many gurus make it so complicated. So today I'm going to take it down and break it down step by step. And if you are a wholesaler, you're interested in wholesaling, I want you to use this weapon, this tool, put it in your tool belt, and it's going to allow you to cash more checks and allow you to do more deals in your pipeline. So let's talk about it. Lease option. A lease option is literally exactly what it says. It is a lease, which is basically a rental agreement. So everybody knows how a rental agreement works. You rent a property for a certain time of year, usually in 1 year increments, and you pay a fee per month. So if you rent a place for $2,000 a month, every 30 days, you give the landlord a check for $2,000, and that's a rental agreement. And as long as you pay on time and you take care of the property, then your contract is valid. So most of you already know what a rental agreement is, so you're halfway there on lease options. So let's make this super simple. The option part is exactly what it means. So an option is literally what the word means. It's you have an option to do something, meaning you are not required to do it. It is your option to do it. It is not the other party's option. It is your options. And that's why they're so attractive to people like me and you that are in the wholesaling business. So let's take it a step further and walk you through. So if you have a property and you were looking to sell it, and I tell you what, how much, maybe you were just looking to rent it. And why I say this is a lot of the properties we target in lease options are rentals currently on the market. I'm going to teach you the strategy on how to do it. So basically, I approach the landlord looking to do it. I said, listen, I know what's most important to you in the rental. And they always say, I'm looking for on-time payments and responsible tenants, 9 times out of 10. I go, listen, I'm responsible and I can pay you on time. Would you be interested in doing a rental agreement with an added layer of an option on it? And they're like, well, explain it to me. I go, well, if I make consistent payments over a 2 or 3 year period, would you be interested in selling it to me at the end of the rental for a set price? And that's all I say to him. And so basically what it is, if he or she's offering the property is, you usually agree to the rental amount, whatever it is, and then you set a price down the road when the rental expires. What this allows you to do is you're able to buy that property for a preset price, and that gives you the option to be able to close on it. Now, you're probably saying, well, Rick, what happens if I do not live up to my option? Nothing. You just walk away. You'll typically forfeit a fee that you paid up front, but sometimes that's how options work out. So options are used in all businesses, and real estate is no exception. So basically, you have a rental agreement and an option agreement. Okay, well, that's great, Rick. Well, I'd rather just buy a place for myself. I get it. So the wholesaling aspect comes in just like this, is if you can get the landlord to basically agree to a monthly payment and a set exit price, maybe 2 or 5 years down the road, then you can take that agreement and basically wholesale it just like you do your regular wholesale contract. Why is that attractive? I'm about to show you. The most attractive, like, well, Rick, how am I going to be able to sell it? Because I'm probably going to pay, how much of a discount I'm going to get. You get a slight discount, but the value in a lease option is not in the discount you get on your option contract. No. Your value is basically offering a property that doesn't require bank qualification. Do you know how many people out there cannot get a loan under the current terms of the standard FHA guidelines to get a loan? There is a ton of people out there. Some people just have bad credit. Some people have just had really bad breaks. We look for people that have really good income and can come up with a downstroke. And then we can provide them these houses without going through the hassles of long drawn out bank approvals. And people love that. There is a huge part of the market that's looking for that because it is an unfulfilled market and banks don't want to take any type of risk. You're not really taking risk because the loan's not in your name and you're basically selling the contract. So you're treating this just like you would a wholesale contract. So as long as your option agreement is assignable and it would be in the contract, then you can take your rights under that option agreement and you can assign them to somebody else. Do you see how cool that is? And here's the really cool part. This is my favorite part about lease options. And so many people miss this. There's two factors whenever I do a lease option. Number one, it's got to be in a good area. Okay? You are not going into the projects, the hood, or anything like that. They don't work there. You need to have highly desirable neighborhoods. Okay? And a lot of times these are neighborhoods sometimes you're not even marketing in for your wholesaling deal. So it is fundamentally critically important you have highly desirable neighborhoods because there's more demand for that product and more people want to move there and you can demand a higher price. Number two, they've got to be nice homes. They cannot be like major rehabs. They do not work for lease options. In fact, you want a house that you can literally take over and instantly move an end buyer into or sell it to another wholesaler or whoever it is. And the less repairs, the more attractive the property is. So the two requirements, let me repeat them again. Nice areas, nice homes. Who wouldn't want to do deals like that? I tell you, there's some properties doing wholesaling. It's like, I don't even want to like walk in them, look at them. These houses, let's just put it this way. These are houses that you would easily live into. I've lived in houses I've leased option myself. I'm telling you guys, that's the type of caliber house you're looking. The repairs have to be under $3,000 in my opinion. So look at it with appliances and everything out like that. You just don't want to get into major rehabs because the numbers typically aren't going to work when you do that. So now that we understand a lease option has two parts, one's a rental agreement and the other's an option, okay? In the old days, we used to blend these contracts. Today, absolutely not. There is court cases that clearly say they have to be two separate agreements. So if you enter into this type of agreement, make sure you strike up a simple rental agreement that you can easily sublease to your new buyer, and make sure you have an option agreement. An option agreement has two elements. It defines the length of time you have for the option. So if it's 5 years, 60 months, you put it in there. And then the exit price for it. Okay? So if your agreement is to buy it for $125,000 at the end of 60 months, either you buy it for $125,000 or you walk away, and whatever fee you negotiate with the seller, which is anywhere from free, I would never do it for free, but usually $1,000 up to $10,000 is the key. I'll go a little bit higher if it is a more desirable house in a very desirable neighborhood, and I don't have to do a lot of work into it. If the property needs like $3,000 to $5,000 worth of work, I'm going to discount that off whatever fee I'm going to give to the seller. So guys, this is why they're so attractive and they work so well. And here's the neat part is you are not going to go and pull your traditional list on wholesaling to find these. These are homes you aren't even targeting. They're not on any of your sheets. I promise you. So I'm going to give you a quick, simple, fast techniques that you can find lease options that are going to be very attractive in your market. And remember, you can either wholesale these and sell these to other investors, because I love to buy them because I don't have to do any of the work. Everything's all set. Or number two, you can take them down yourself and put an end buyer in there for long-term cash flow, and so you can build your portfolio. The sky's the limit with these. So my two favorite techniques is number one is just calling for rent ads. Okay. Well, Rick, how do I do that? It's real simple. You're going to call them for rent ads. The old days we used to use the newspaper, but Facebook groups, Craigslist, like wherever you can find for rents, and simply ask the landlord, are you looking for a long-term renter that pays on time? Oh, absolutely. And then you just kind of roll into them. What if I could fulfill that role for you? Would you be interested in selling it to me at the end of the lease term? And then they'll always say, hey, just explain that a little bit more to me. And that's your cue to set up an appointment with them. And then you just explain it. I will tell you this, whenever you have a lease option seller, they have to be 100% compliant and cooperative. Who would do this type of deal? Well, right now we're in a market where properties are not moving on the open market. And so a lot of these properties list for full retail on the market and they don't get a buyer. And sometimes these people are just 1 or 2 payments away from in default on the house, and they are perfect for this. Okay. So the first one I'm going to look for is for rental ads. Number 2, I look for expired listings. Yes, expired listing, guys. You can now jump on expired listings. They are perfect for lease options, which is going to lead to the third question is, well, Rick, how do I do it with a realtor? And I'm here to tell you lease options, you have to embrace realtors. They actually help you out with lease options in every way, shape, and form. So a realtor is only interested in one thing, actually 2 things. Number 1, getting rid of their client's property and solving the problem. And number 2, them getting paid, AKA commission. So my advice is you don't try to cut the realtor out, just try to include them when you do it. So you got to leave usually anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 for a realtor. Just build it in your fees and everything you do. The realtors will do the work, and you want them to find someone that doesn't qualify for regular bank financing, but still has the income and the stability to pay all your monthly rents on it. So that's what you want to look. So guys, I'm here to tell you, do not avoid realtors. The third technique is reach out to realtors with problem listings that haven't expired yet and see if you can help them out with it. Guys, I love lease options. And here's the really cool thing about a lease option. When you find a lease option, from start to finish, you can be done in 7 to 10 days with it, especially if you're going to wholesale it. Remember, wholesaling is just the art of assigning your lease option and subleasing your rental agreement. That is it. So you do a traditional assignment of contract. Just make sure your terms are assignable, and you have the option of selling it very quickly at a little bit more of a discount to move it for cash. Depends on your situation, which one you want to do. Now, I will tell you this. A lease option, either it works for the seller or it doesn't. You can't force them into it. You are looking for a certain type of motivation from a seller, someone that just doesn't have the money to pay the monthly mortgage. Or number 2, usually a highly targeted lease option is going to be someone that usually bought the property within the last 24 to 36 months, and they've had some sort of change of life event, and it really hasn't helped out with them. So here's the biggest question I get on this. Well, Rick, what happens? Do they risk their credit, and can they do that? All they are is renting the house to you. That's it. There's no complication. It's perfectly legal. So let's go through all the steps that you have to go through a lease option, and then I'll wrap it up at the end, okay? So number 1, the first thing is you have to find a motivated seller for a lease option. Where do I find them? I'm going to look for expired listings. I'm going to look for rental ads. You can look through Zillow. You can look through Facebook, Craigslist, whatever it is, and find those and simply ask them, are you looking for a long-term renter that pays on time? And then when they say yes, you're going to go, listen, if I can do that, would you sell me the property at the end of the rental? And if they're interested in doing it, set an appointment, and you are halfway there to meeting with a lease option seller, okay? Don't forget working with realtors to find them. Like network, find realtors. A lot of properties are sitting on the market, and the longer they sit, the more you're going to be the solution for them. Guys, going forward, this is going to be huge in your market, okay? So once you do that, remember your agreement has to be 2 parts. One is going to be a rental agreement, and the other one is going to be a lease option. One has nothing to do with the other. They have to be completely separate. So any deposits on the rental stays on the rental. Any payments on the option agreement stays with the option agreement. Keep them separate. It is critical you do that. Okay. So after we do that, after we find our motivated seller using those techniques, then we're going to meet and we're going to qualify our sellers. It's very simple to qualify the sellers. You have to see if they have a motivating factor that is going to allow them to do a lease option. Remember, usually you are the only solution for lease options. That's why they want to move forward with you. They've tried to list it. They've tried to sell it for cash. Hey, how can I get this monthly nut off my back and save my credit? And that's where lease option is valuable. Okay. Number 3, you get it under contract. How do you do it under contract? You do an option agreement, which sets the, I like to do a minimum of 60 months. Okay. 60 months gives you room to make the project work. Okay. If you go less in a softer market, the more is better. I've done them as long as 20 years. I've done them as little as 2 years. But in a normal market, try to get 60 months because it gives you room to make the property work. So once you do that, you get your contract. Remember, it's just a 2-part contract. It's really simple. I can share the forms with you. You can find them on the internet. It's really not complicated, okay? Make sure you check with a lawyer in your state to make sure it is legal to do this. Remember, I got 50 states, 50 different rules. Make sure you check and make sure you're compliant. Also check with your title company. Now, this doesn't require a title company to do any of this. Like, honestly, this is all desktop closing at the kitchen table. It's really, really easy to do, okay? So once you have it under contract, here's the really cool part, guys. You can advertise these properties, not just the contract. So you have the property under control. Now you can advertise the property. Why? Because that's how you get the most value out of it, because you have control of the property, because you're not technically selling at that point. You're basically just assigning your agreement over. So with the traditional problem of wholesaling, you can never show the property and you got to show the contract. In lease options, you actually get the ability to show the property. So use it to your advantage to get the highest price possible. Okay. So once we have it under contract, number 4, once you advertise and market the property, you're good to go. And then, so now we move on to step 5, which is pre-qualifying your potential tenants or buyers. And guys, you're basically focusing on people's job history and income. Okay. It's important that they're able to pay you every month. Because remember, if you're paying the seller $800 a month, a lot of times you're asking for $300 to $600 more than what they're paying. And then you're going to ask for an upfront payment. People always say, hey, Rick, how much upfront? Now, here's the rule of thumb. Whatever you gave your seller, I try to double that amount. So if I gave my seller $5,000 to do an option agreement, I'm going to ask for $10,000. This keeps me in safe. Plus, I'm going to make between $300 and $600 a month. That way I can't get in trouble on the deal. Now, sometimes you have to negotiate it, but for the most part, try using the doubling number. It works really, really well. So once we've qualified them, number 6, we just close. The really cool thing about a closing takes place in like a day or 2. You don't need months on end. You don't need long drawn out paperwork. Remember, you don't actually own the property. You just control it. Okay. Now we close. And here's the really cool part. You don't own the property, but you control the property. You get all the benefits of an owner without any of the headaches. You don't manage toilets. The tenant manages everything in it. They're responsible for repairs other than major things like roof or some sort of catastrophic event, which an insurance policy would kick in. But guys, this is the basic of wholesaling lease options. It works really well. Remember, you can just wholesale it to another investor, which there's tons of them out there that'll buy that, or you can take it all the way to the end. Tell me which technique you're going to use and tell me how you're going to take advantage of lease options. Guys, this is Rick Ginn. Do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button to continue to receive the best information on wholesaling today, and I'll see you in the next video.